Okay, welcome everyone. We're gonna do a slow dive in to this last session for the Summer Scholar Program. Okay, welcome everyone. Okay. Muting everything in the background and we're ready to go. So welcome everyone. I'm really glad that you joined us here today and we're ready to dive in and talk a little bit about the Summer Scholar Program. You have lots of final questions maybe, and we've shared the Meeting Pulse link by email and also on YouTube as well. We'd love to tell you a little bit about riss and dive in quickly to some of those questions, and then we'll monitor those questions. And I'd like to welcome two of my colleagues here, Balam and Courage. And Courage, would you like to kick us off with a welcome and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this talk session. I'm Courage Laban, and I'm also a riss alumni, currently also a student at New Jersey's Institute of Technology, where I major in mechanical engineering and potential minor in physics. So hopefully today we get to answer a lot of your questions that you may have for us. But I'd like to kickstart early by saying that the riss program is amazing, and everyone is here to answer the questions, whatever questions you might have to ask, and hopefully also running up with applications since the due date is also near.
It is really near. Isn't that crazy? There's so much going on for everyone. And I know the return from a winter break has been tough. We're ready to dive in. And many of us are, if we've had to adjust our schedules with the pandemic and such for the spring. So we see that and we know that. And we're looking forward to reading your applications. And there's a whole team ready to look at what your interests are and how we might be able to work together this summer. We are focusing on being in person this summer so that you can experience as many things as possible in the Pittsburgh innovation ecosystem. There's a lot going on here in robotics. I'd like to welcome Balam. Balam, would you like to welcome those that are with us now?
Sure, welcome everyone. So here, yes, Courage said, we are here to answer your few questions that you may have up to now, and wish you the best of luck in your application, and hopefully you will get into a RIF this summer.
We're all almost at the finish line, right? We're all about to wrap up applications and move forward. There were a number of questions that folks might have had. So I'm going to dive in with a little bit at a high level, only a few minutes, different from our other information sessions. Really, we want to concentrate as much time on what is the student experience and answering some of those questions. So I'll be throwing out some of the questions so both Balam and Courage can share perspectives on that. But to center us before we do that, let's take a look at, again, what is the Summer Scholar Program? What is the opportunity and what is the approach? So Summer Scholar Program is an undergraduate research immersion. It's at Carnegie Mellon University, which is an amazing place for robotics, for AI, or machine learning, for so many different fields. And it's in, something with really pioneers, and there are 20 plus labs that participate in the Summer Scholar Program. We have the possibilities of working and seeing so much together. And we're excited about trying to focus on doing everything we can to be in person with riss this summer. Because we want you to see what we're doing. There's hundreds of active research projects. There's a lot that you get to do. With the Summer Scholar Program, the last 2 years, we've been remote, and I really want to shout out and thank all of my colleagues for their extra efforts to continue to invest in this opportunities for students around the world to engage, because that's what we see it as, is that there's an amazing amount of work that goes into shaping and delivering the program, and there are so many. So what is riss? And Balam and Courage will talk about some of the research and their experience, but it's 3 things. And you've learned that from our website. guided research. So when you apply, you focus on building from previous research that risk scholars have done. There are several tracks of professional development. You learn about communicating research result, communicating your interests, engaging with sponsors, doing a number of different ways of exploring robotics, including lots of talks and visits and such when we're in person. If when we've been remote, those talks have been virtual. We have a series that connects us with the world, and it's all about that engagement, and it's about the community that drives it. Again, June 1st through August 5th, we will be physically in Pittsburgh. This is from the website to apply. A couple things just to remind you, and then we're going to dive in. I'm going to throw out a few of the questions that you've shared with us in advance. Go here, view some of the previous information sessions. The deadline is coming up, and we want you to be as prepared as possible. Everything is about really looking at the research showcase. That is your best way of being prepared for really the Summer Scholar Program and shaping your application. What is it that we're doing that that you're really interested in? What is some of the prior research? And you're lucky today because we have both Balam and Courage with us to talk a little bit about what they've done, right? And so top questions, and I'm going to pick about 5 questions. I'm going to throw them out there one at a time. So Courage and Balam, you can share some insights and some ideas. And the first one that I'll kick us off with, and I'll share some perspectives from my side, is the top question, which is, what do I do to shape the best application possible? And it is risk, because we're June 1st through August 5th. It's a deep dive. We're going to do a lot before, we're going to do a lot afterwards. But for you to be successful in that summer, you need to build from existing research projects and learn about the research and contribute there. So my best guidance is to really look at the research showcase, look for at least 2, I would actually suggest 3 to 4 years of prior posters, videos, and papers to understand. Start with the posters and videos, look and explore, specifically focus on the risk research. And the reason is that the faculty members may have lots of different projects, but they've scoped specific opportunities from which to go forward to. And you're going to be adding to that research and continuing there, enjoying that community. So really start with the research showcase that the scholars have put together and shared what they've done in previous years to help you go forward. Balam, what are some ideas? What would you suggest in shaping and really strengthening the application?
Yeah, I would like use a few things. Furthermore, if like the most important part is that you show what is your main interest, right? Because what a person or the professor that will review your application, when it's time, she will or he will find like what is the match between your interest and what he's doing, right? If you don't find a match or your interests don't align with what he or she is doing, you won't like get admitted in that part, right? Because like what really is important about is that you feel like comfortable with the project you're working on, right? If your interests are about computer vision, but the project is about hardware, it's not a good match, and you cannot feel comfortable. So, like the most important part is that you feel good about doing research, right? It's about doing a great experience of your work, and that you can contribute well. So, if you don't find a match, you won't be able to do your best at risk, right?
Those are really good points. Courage, what advice and guidance do you have for the applicants?
Yeah, what Balam said, it's correct. For example, you need to know exactly what you want to write, especially if you're looking to work with a professor in a specific lab. That would be absolutely great if you know the lab that you want to work with and highlighting that specific professor that you want to work with, especially also bringing forward the area of research that you're interested in, because within those labs, there are different areas of research and research topics, right? So if you can highlight several areas of research that you're interested in, that would be great that would be a great tool that would make you stand out from other applicants, because it shows that you actually visited other researches that are ongoing, and then and you actually have specific area of interest, right? And also with the application, it's not just about highlighting your area of interest. You also, right, have to tell how you can be able to contribute to what you're interested in. I'm not saying that you should like propose different ideas, but the main idea of the, for example, statement of purpose is to highlight your area of interest and to present why you are a better candidate, right? And you have to be able to reflect that all within that document.
When you know what's interesting about applying to whether it's a research experience or grad school or different internships and such, I think that after we do it, we look back and we're like, oh, I would have done this differently, or I would have done that. And I remember my application to Carnegie Mellon as a grad school a student for the Heinz School, and looking back, I was like, okay, I made this mistake, I made that mistake, but going through and looking back, the lessons learned from actually having the experience. Were there things about the risk program that you didn't anticipate to learn or to be exposed to that you did? What was different about it than maybe what you had thought?
Yeah, so the risk program itself, I would use the word some sort of unique area of research for undergrads, in the sense that prior to applying for the risk program, right, my initial thought was, oh, this is also like other undergrads programs, but it's actually not, because it's intense, right? And because it's also of high quality, in the sense that when I got into the risk program, right, I had to interview with my professor and grad student for them to inquire what were my areas of interest, get some ideas of what I wanted. That was not something I was expecting, because you don't see that in a lot of research experience. So it's almost like getting into a job. Not getting into a job though, but it's really sophisticated, right? Because you want to make sure that you're highly prepared for this and you are a good candidate. And when you get into the risk program, realize that you have to be accountable, right? In the sense that you're not just getting there to be to be an undergrad who's just doing research, right? You have responsibilities, and for example, deliverables on what to present and specific deadlines and times. You have to be able to work with the flow of whatever lab you're assigned to. And that's one thing that I didn't mention. You're also going to be assigned to a lab aside from the entire cohort, which is different, right? And within that area, you also have to be someone who can work with a team or group of people, right? And be able to collaborate and get insights and all of those things. So that's one thing that's particularly unique about the risk program. You get intense workforce development skills, right? That you wouldn't really get in other research programs. And that is also great. Aside from that, other perks are that through the risk program, we realize that it's not just about research. Other opportunities are there, such as opportunities for other scholarships and grad school opportunities, talks with companies, and all of those things that you would not expect from other undergrad research programs. And these are not just what you get from searching in the internet or maybe watching YouTube videos, right? They're really tailored towards addressing your interests and what would potentially benefit you too.
These are good points, Courage. I think that we don't end with just the summer. So there are a lot of there are a lot of alums that are here at the Robotics Institute. We have just within the Robotics Institute, there are 29 RIS alums that are in graduate schools here, funded through a number of scholarships and other programs, and they're able to continue on. So it's almost like a launch into robotics, and we're helping you to find your fit in different ways. So there's connections afterwards to help shape your scholarship applications, shape applications for grad school. And it's not just for the summer after, or excuse me, the fall after or into the spring. Alum can reach out at any time when we're having different programming to come back or get that, engage in some of the workshops and things that we're doing. We always talk with other universities as well, so you can figure out where your best fit is. And we have our students, since the Robotics Institute was the first academic department in the world in robotics, it means that our alum are really leaders in the field. And so we're excited about connecting you to different people in the network and just helping you to launch into that network there. Balam, same question. Were there things that you learned or experiences that you had that you were valuable for you, but you hadn't anticipated coming into the program?
Yeah, what was very interesting about the program is that it's like very complete, right? So it's not just about doing research and that's it and present your paper at the end. But it's important that there are many sessions that we had that encourage us to learn more about research, right? We learn to write in a academic style way. We have some sessions about abstract production so that we can present our papers. About posters, how to design a poster. We also, what I like a lot is these weekly meetings that we had with some lab leaders that we can talk about their research and we can have some questions about them and exchange ideas. And that was very, very enrichful. And then also, like, at the end of the week, it didn't end like at just a date, but we can still have some meetings and talk about grad school, and that was also very, very good to look at it.
I think that one of the things that even, as I talk with others or around the US or even around the world, when we talk about the program and the opportunity, one of the things they're surprised about is about 80% of the students continue on in some kind of collaboration, immediately following the program with their labs. And that's because we see this as a launch into a community, an engagement and a continued collaboration. And I hope for both of you, you had two different mentors. Did you feel that your mentor was willing to continue to collaborate or provide guidance or, wanted to help you with next steps? What was your experience?
Yeah, for me, prior to getting into the risk program, right, my interest was specifically tailored towards aerospace, and I was particularly interested in more, for example, energy systems and how they could be improved with robotics. So with my mentor, it was really great because they actually found a way to make what was going on in the lab match my interest, right? And one of the things I was actually working was with mechanical micro viscous sensors, right? Investigating flow properties, inertial properties, and drag. And that particular sensor is unique, right? And it can find applications in the field of aerospace and aeronautics. And within that area, right, I really had a lot of support from my mentors in that it was a particularly new area for me that I didn't know about. But then along the lines of doing research in that area, I became more really educated and was particularly interested in the whisker sensor more than any other thing that I was doing in the lab. So I think that getting the right mentor and the right professor is actually great because they actually assisted me to learn a lot. And right now, that's one thing that I'm actually interested in to continue to learn more about, and also on the upcoming academic semesters, right? Yeah, to actually continue to follow up with the research and what improvements are being made in that area. So whatever research area that you get into, it can be interesting in such a way that you would definitely like to, even if you're not going to research on it, definitely like to see the ongoing work that is being made on that research area. And the research is not just about you and your professor, right? You have a wide array of people that are actually making contributions to that specific topic, such as other graduate students and maybe people from other universities. So it's a really high quality research.
So much of what you said there really resonates because it's about coming in with interest, but then aligning them and figuring out how they fit in this broader. And what I heard you say was there's this ecosystem that isn't just about the faculty member. It's a network group of people across that lab, even broader in the university, and then across the world at other, with industry, with others. And you start to see those connections, right? And it's done in a way that it's not like, oh, wow, this is overwhelming. Instead, it's exciting. It's like one link leads to another, and you can see how really innovation happens. And how people are the good and the bad, and how people are collaborating, and where there's opportunities and such. Yeah. So, Balam, tell us about your continued engagement, or was that a part of something that happened for you?
Yeah, it's about, I'm actually still collaborating with me, my PI. I was working with Melissa Orta Martinez, and then I'm still collaborating with her, and hopefully we will have some really good results by the end of the summer. And even when I'm not like applying again for RIS, I'm still collaborating with her, and we are still having some weekly or 2 weekly, bi-weekly meetings. And yeah, it's not, I'm not stressed about that. After RIS, you don't have to be like intensively working on research. You to work in probably in that project. Don't think about that you have to work full time still in your project, but you can because you have to attend classes, right? So yeah, and it's very important that you still have like some work to do and some pending work, and that you document your work, and then you finally have some really good results, and finally like hopefully present a paper or something like that.
That is really interesting how you talked about that trajectory afterwards. Is that the summer is that research immersion? There's a lot going on, and Balam, Courage, you both said that there's a lot, but it's this exposure, and there's the opportunity afterwards. And this is why figuring out the labs and the research areas and really diving into that research showcase is so important, because I think both of you said that match with a mentor is so important, right? And for each of you, I think there was some additional engagement from the risk team overall in the background and forging some of those. So there's multiple ways that are going on in conversations to try to formulate matches and connections. And you have that opportunity when you work hard together, when you start to move forward on things, you have that opportunity to explore, continuing to engage, and it could be fully as risk again for a second summer, or but as you were saying, it could be other different ways of doing it, because it's about, what is the trajectory of the research? How can you continue to collaborate? What are the opportunities there? And the answers for each one of our scholars may be a little bit different. There's some general areas there. I want to thank both of you for sharing your ideas and perspectives today. We all are wishing the applicants well. We know there's a lot that goes into this. Your best work is really to look at that research showcase and tell us where those fits are, what you're interested in. There were a few questions, and I think that we can collectively answer those. Can you come as an international student? Yes. Do you need to, when you apply, be physically within the United States? No, you can apply from anywhere in the world. Are there funding and scholarship possibilities for both US and other nationalities? Yes. If you're in the US and an international student, can you apply? Yes. So those types of barriers are really supported by our sponsors to remove those and to create an opportunity. So we want to thank everyone that comes together across the RI community, all of our sponsors, the National Science Foundation, and other partners that come together to create this opportunity for all of us to dive into this work and this journey together each summer. I'd like to give the last words to Courage and Balam on what would you like to leave the applicants with? What is your final advice or guidance for them?
Yeah, I saw there was another question here, right, that another student added. I'd like to answer that first. It was like, how do we prepare for the interview after submitting the application, right? I think that's a good question though. After the application, if you have received an offer, I think the interview part is more of you, right, trying to highlight exactly what you'd like to work on, and also your lab trying to understand what area of interest you would like to work in, right? So it's more of like a discussion between you and your mentor. I don't think there's a reason to be nervous about that. You just need to be open-minded, right, and have a good conversation and present to them what you'd like to work on, right? So they're just interested in learning what is in your mind, right, and all of that. But overall, I think that all the applicants, I hope they're successful, because yeah, if they follow all the guidelines and all the resources available, they would definitely be. I think getting to the RIS program is not as complicated as other people might think, right? You just need to have the right resources, get the correct recommendations, and yeah, you can get into the RIS program. And it's also an amazing experience, and one that can actually improve and change your career trajectory. Also, especially in getting into grad school or just going directly into opportunities in industry.
Yeah, That's wonderful, Courage. And we're so excited to see what's going to happen for Balam, for you over the next couple of years. And we follow, and it's so exciting to hear about the opportunities that open up. Balam, what would you like to share with the folks?
Yeah, well, I have seen a few questions that you may feel about their recommendations to your area of interest, how to show that in your statement of purpose, and well, just try to put your best on your application, what you can control, and you have to send, and then don't stress out if you don't have like the feeling that your application is good enough to get into RIS. Just if you did your best, you can get in for sure. And if you don't do it at the first time you apply, you can apply again. So finally, that's my recommendation. And also to keep working on undergraduate research in your home university. You can always still collaborate with your university professors or some people at your university. And yeah, still doing research is not at risk, but you can still work on research and what you like.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And that's such a good point, is that your launch into robotics begins at your home university. It begins by exploring things online and next steps there. So I want to thank everyone for joining us for today and the opportunity to have this last conversation with everyone, and to thank the scholars that have contributed to conversations over the fall. And I think we've connected with over 1,000 people now that are applying, and that just like opportunities are here at the Summer Scholar Program and at your home university. The most important thing is just diving into those, finding where you can find a match, and really doing that exploration. So we wish all of you well. And to Courage and Balam, Happy New Year again. It's good to see you. And we look forward to continuing the journey together.